As you can see, everyone, Mike Johnson did it. He actually won by the skin of his teeth, despite many people bluffing and saying they were going to vote for different people in the caucus. The House leader prevails and was elected by about 3 votes. And by three, I really only mean 1.5. He won 218 to 215. Again, Jeffries, the Democrat, got really close, which means it had 2 of the 3 people that on net voted for Johnson over Jeffries swap their vote to Jeffries. Then Johnson would have lost. In fact, had he lost 2 votes to SpongeBob, he still would have lost to Jeffries by 1 vote, it seems. And so, for that reason, this could not have been an uglier process. And let's look into the fact that now I can declare Thomas Massie as a pariah in the making. If you were like me, you would know that by stalking the news every day, you'd realize that Mike Johnson had an Achilles sort of weakness. And realistically, this guy was Thomas Massie. This person is a libertarian out of Kentucky who picks these hills to die on that are in particular very principled, but then also very opportunistically stupid. I mean, at the worst times, the guy will decide to do something provocative. And so he's the type that when everybody votes to send aid to Israel or whatever else, he'll on principle say we're not going to send the money. And while that seems dignified for, 2 people out of 500 voting on a bill to abstain as if it makes a difference, what it does do is lengthen the process. And so Mike Johnson was almost not elected speaker. And basically, if Mike Johnson didn't win, by the way, it would have meant that Hakeem Jeffries, the Democrat, would have taken power. I only mention this because Thomas Massie made a concerted effort to disavow and basically become an obstacle to a Republican majority in the House. And he failed. So apparently, Massie voted for Tom Emmer out of Minnesota. Now, we all know that Tom Emmer is a MAGA patriot. Said nobody ever, okay? Tom Emmer, if you even know who that is certainly not the person you would expect Massie to vote for. I mean, there is literally over 100 Republicans I could say are more conservative than Tom Emmer and are cooler. He could have said Byron Donalds is a throwaway vote. He could have said Jim Banks, or I guess he might have been elected to Senate. But the point being is that there's a litany of Congress people that are way better than Tom Emmer. Yet Thomas Massie is voting for Tom Emmer out of Minnesota on that first ballot. Now, the reason why I don't like this is not because I love Mike Johnson so much. You have Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, and then you have in the distant third place MJ over here, Mike Johnson. He's not exciting to me. But what I do want to happen is for all Republicans to have unity while Trump has this mandate so that people that are just basically skimming the news say, well, Trump administration has complete backing of the Republicans at least, but no, we have to have a princess like Thomas Massie in this situation. Basically declare that, Mike Johnson isn't conservative enough in this first ballot. And you find that to be kind of without reproach because, again, to what end are you voting against him is my question. The same logic would apply if he did not vote for Donald Trump over Biden or Harris. He would have said, well, he's not conservative enough, therefore I'll vote for Ralph Nader or God knows who else. And to be quite clear, that's just a waste. It's a waste. It's a waste. It's a waste. And it wastes people time. Because first of all, the optics are that not every Republican is backing Johnson, even though their opinion is inessential as they're outnumbered. But then also it only slows down the process of everything happening. If there was no stress of people voting for nobodies like Tom Emmer, then Mike Johnson probably wouldn't have to frantically call people. Donald Trump personally called several congressmen, from what I can tell, to convince them to vote for Mike Johnson. Again, why waste Donald Trump's time on something that was an inevitability? Okay, now you have this pathetic victory by Mike Johnson, who wins by the slimmest of margins, and we're supposed to deride the people that are saying that, hey, maybe go with the flow for a second here, because, again, that's the Trump agenda at work. Trump endorsed Mike Johnson. I talked about it last video. Of course, it wasn't enthusiastic. You're not the sexiest option, Mike Johnson, but you're the man of the hour. And, that's basically what people need to take away from this video, is that people like Thomas Massie are a waste of space when it comes to issues they can't win on. Standing on principle really doesn't matter. The integrity of voting against every little minutia when you know the vote's going to lose is irrelevant. It's irrelevant to me. Maybe I'll be more of a stickler later in life, but right now I feel like I would have voted for MJ and I would have just taken it just that. I wouldn't waste the guy's time and waste everybody's time by having suspense about, oh my God, I'm going to grandstand on principle and I'm going to vote for Tom Emmer. Now, this is certainly a scary sight if you're Mr. Johnson, because apparently there are hardliners in the caucus that basically were looking, if not for a quid pro quo, because of course admitting that in politics is an amateurish move, they'll say something along the lines of, we had a productive conversation. Now, the reason why I point this out is because apparently hardliners, according to Politico, have certain expectations of Mike Johnson going forward. They all had to say, will you deliver the MAGA thing, whatever. They had a ball bust, obviously the upcoming speaker. That being said, of course, we do have these guys saying that we can oust you at any point. In fact, the rules are that you can start a vote to basically impeach, for the lack of a better term, to vacate the speakership. Only one person is needed. One Republican out of, again, 218. So basically, you need to have 99.5% of your caucus not try to knife you in the back. Now, try to pull it off in any other circumstance, and it looks definitely like a bad circumstance for Mike Johnson to find himself in. Not too long ago, obviously, you saw Matt Gaetz oust Kevin McCarthy. Again, you only need one person, one congressperson, to start the process of voting people out. Basically, there's newly adopted rules, apparently, that Johnson likes that would up the support to 9 GOP members from, again, the current threshold of just 1. So you can see this as a method of self-protection. It makes it pretty innocuous. The intention, if you see how there's so many Republicans that are opportunistically making this big soapbox speech of, oh my God, I'm going to vote for Tom Emmer. I mean, Thomas Massie, in theory, in prior rules, would have been able to have an ouster vote on Mike Johnson, and it wouldn't work, obviously, but it's also just a waste of people's time. This is some deflating news. Basically, because Donald Trump picked some congressman like Mike Waltz out of Florida to be in the cabinet, which I disagree with, by the way, as a decision, as obviously we have such a slim majority as this. This guy, Mike Johnson, won by only 3 votes, meaning that he needed 2 of them to go for Jeffries, and he would have been screwed. Anyway, basically, according to the math, given the administration plucking away some Congress people, it leaves the Trump margin super small in the House. In fact, when you look at it, Mike Johnson can only afford to lose 1 GOP vote on partisan legislation. He'll need near, if not complete, unity to pass Trump's agenda on the border, energy, and taxes, or anything else. If he relies on Democrats on must-pass items like spending legislation, he will now need Democratic support, like I said, if the GOP has Congress, because some people on the right wing won't vote for his stuff. So think about that. If you're doing something that's actually MAGA, odds are no Democrat will vote for what Mike Johnson wants. In which case, he needs literally all but 1 Republican out of over 200. So again, 99.5% consensus on any given partisan bill that's MAGA for it to pass the House. Or he could water it down, whatever Trump wants, and add in a bunch of welfare, whatever Democrats want, and then he could get Democrat votes. But then all the Thomas Massies of the world are going to lose their marbles and then try to oust him. So what we're basically telling you here, and by we, I mean me, I'm telling you guys that Mike Johnson needs to run the ship almost perfectly. Trump needs to tard wrangle and be a real shepherd to the people that are thinking that their opinion is worth more than it is. Because, again, you need complete consensus from virtually everyone in the caucus to vote for the Trump agenda. And if that works out, then maybe we could expand the House majority in 26 if the trends do not hold up. Because obviously midterms are awful for incumbent administrations, barring 2002. Now, I will do the due diligence of watching his entire 20-minute speech here and give you the quickest rundown possible. I'll see you there. Here's a quick tidbit.
In coordination with President Trump, this Congress will give our border and immigration enforcement agents the resources that they need to do their job. We will secure the border, we will deport dangerous, criminal, illegal aliens, and finally finish building the border wall. You said you'd work with us on that, Hakeem. I'm counting on it.
Okay, so there you go. So he's saying offhandedly, Hakeem Jeffries, you said you'd work with us on that, which again was probably, again, political pageantry, BS. Like, oh, yeah, oh, you invited me to this thing? Oh, I'll look into it. I'll let you know if I'm going to go. Never show up, right? Same concept here. Is Hakeem Jeffries and the Democrats going to help us on the border wall? Press X in chat if you doubt that. Like the video if you don't think that's going to happen. Anyway, interesting dynamic here where, again, he's trying to feed the base, saying like, hey, you guys voted me in. I promise I'm cool. I'm conservative. But then also with the Democrats saying, well, in case the whole conservative thing doesn't work out, I need Democrat votes for the MAGA agenda. Let's see how that plays out. So the speech in and of itself, after watching it, wasn't much of anything. Obviously, I saved you that one portion that was interesting. Again, in summary here, to leave you all with this, I think that Johnson winning the speaker's race by the skin of the teeth is exactly what I predicted. So, right again. But anyways, I just think that maybe we need to all be unified just for the sake of getting these damn bills passed in this the later part of January, okay? So hopefully I'm rooting for Mike Johnson because he needs to get stuff done. We need our country to be fixed. And so I hope you'll join us in watching this happen, okay? Anyways, comment down below if you have any commentary. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe if you want more content like this. And I'll see y'all on the next one. Adios.